What happens if a situation arises that you were unprepared for? A situation such as a blizzard, a tornado, or being locked down due to a virus. Put yourself in any possible situation that could arise. Now ask yourself, what would you do? Where would you go? What do you need? Are you ready? Because what if tomorrow? Welcome to another episode of the What If Tomorrow podcast. I'm Philip.
And I'm Mark.
And hey, we're back. I've had a busy 2 months. So I kind of had to take that hiatus with soccer seasons, all sorts of stuff going on. The schedule was real wonky. Hey, but we did. The kids came, they saw, and they conquered, man. And they had an amazing season. Turned out winning the championship. They just had an awesome season. I'm proud of all of them. All the kids improved tremendously. Now we're talking third, fourth, and fifth graders.
That's pretty awesome.
They did an amazing job this season. Yep, I'm excited. We do have a few more weeks of soccer. We're moving to All Stars now. I got nominated to coach that, but I get to set the schedule, and the games aren't until the weekend of November 8th, so it's not going to interfere with the show at all.
Excellent.
Yeah, I mean, there's a ton that's happened since we've been gone. Yeah, absolutely. It will be. And we did it last year. Kids had a good time. I got some complaints, but, it's for them. So it's not for me and my wants. It's for the kids. But yeah, Enzo, here we go, man. We're back. It's good to be back. I've kind of missed it. And I did check out for a while. I've kind of paid close attention to these hurricanes and everything that's going on, and all the banter and the rhetoric that surrounds that. And we're going to touch on that a little bit tonight. But we're going to kind of dig a little deeper, because what do you do in that situation? And we're going to kind of look at that and kind of discuss that. Some things I've watched and kind of gotten ideas from. Yeah, what do you do? But anyway, I want to play this real quick to get this out of the way. Just our affiliates. So check it out.
Hey, this is Mark with What If Tomorrow and What If Tomorrow on the Fringe. Be sure to check out our website, whatiftomorrowmedia.com, and look at our cool merch. We've got t-shirts, hoodies, posters, and more. Our affiliates are Duke Cannon, EMP Shield, My Patriot Supply, and Conflicted the Game. Or check out buymeacoffee.com/whatiftomorrow and buy us a coffee. And as always, be sure to like, comment, and share on both Facebook and YouTube. It helps get our content out to others and help our channel grow. Now on with the show.
So anyway, we should be over on our Facebook group now. It's kind of been messed up with Facebook and all that. And yeah, I'll talk bad about them. I don't mind. We've got a strike on us for some reason, and they won't show us. I was looking earlier today. I don't know, something somebody shared is probably considered disinformation or whatever, but you guys know that we don't really care. It's, and I got to throw this out there, for being part of the podcast for 4 years, Mark hasn't liked and subscribed to the Facebook group, not the Facebook group, but the actual What If Tomorrow media page.
I mean,
I don't know what to say about that. I'm kind of speechless.
Well, I think I'm just in trouble with Facebook. I think that's probably the problem. I've probably said something or done something that makes me invisible. I don't know what. But
probably. Yeah.
It could have been about anything, actually.
Well, probably. No, I tried to look for him a little bit ago, and I was like, man, he's not even on here. Because he said he couldn't get onto our the What If Tomorrow media page on Facebook, which is like the parent page of What If Tomorrow podcast. And I couldn't find him anywhere. The search didn't come up. I couldn't find his name anywhere.
I don't know.
I got you in trouble with Chris, Mark.
Well, I mean, that's nothing new. I mean, it's nothing new. So yeah, I don't know what's going on.
No, I told Mark I was gonna use this against him. So
I don't care.
No, man, it is good to be back. It's good to see everybody. I've looked forward to it today. I didn't go to work. Just kind of hung out around the house, did some stuff for our new YouTube channel, all this other stuff. Just I'm busy. You know, I'm a busy guy. I kind of got to. I try to keep myself busy. Sometimes I'm too busy, but no, I'm definitely glad to be back. Back with you, Mark. You know, just a lot of things going on.
There
things
are
we
a
haven't
lot of
talked
things
about. I
going
mean,
on.
we've talked about it at work, but there's a ton. You know, and the biggest thing we're kind of looking at are the hurricanes that happened the last few weeks. It's the response, in my opinion, has been utterly ridiculous.
It has been lackluster for sure. And you can't hardly find a news article
I
about
don't
it.
know what. No, you can't. You can't. About total death toll, you hear numbers anywhere from unknown to 200, or it depends on, I guess, where you consume your media at. And you all know, if you're a friend of the show, that I have no trust for the government. And there is some things I do want to touch on. We'll hear in a little bit, but again, you don't know what to believe. You know, the FEMA response. I know for a fact it took 7 days for them to get there.
It's supposed to
I haven't seen a reasoning why. It's supposed to take 3. You guys have heard us talk about that ad nauseum. You know, it's supposed to take 3 days for them to respond. There's several conspiracies. I'm not going to say theories because I don't know if they are or not. I don't know if they're real. Clue. I don't know if they're fake. You don't know. You can't tell.
And can't find enough information because it's like there's an information blackout. Oh, if you go looking for it hard enough,
right.
But just casual look, I mean, it's difficult to find any real information.
Even with DuckDuckGo, it's hard to find the information. It's not flooded with FEMA or left-leaning media, all that. So I don't even want to give you a biased opinion of, you know, CBS or NBC. We all know they're left-leaning. Obviously, I mean, this year has been no exception. If anything, has been more of an exception to the rule. And we do. I mean, everybody knows kind of where we stand in our. I'm not going to say political. I guess political biases, I guess you could say. But we try to be fair. We do. We try to pull from all sources of information. And you can't hardly find any, like Mark said. It's hard to find that information. It's like it's just on the back burner. You know, it's an election year. We don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, or try to lean the election in one way or another. You know, and I mean, obviously they do, just by other things that are going on that we're really not going to touch on. But like Mark said early on when we were talking backstage,
that will get us banned.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
For sure. But, you know, like Mark, like you said earlier, you know, backstage, you're like, I'm already tired of this election. I'm ready for it to be over with. And I am too.
Yeah.
100% I am. I'm tired of it. You know, Lord willing, it comes out the way that it should. No, but it's just, it's nasty right now.
Well, it's like we're damned if we do and we're damned if we don't. If one side wins, we're going to get more of the same. And if the other side wins, all we're going to get is everybody screaming and trying to put a stopper to anything good that happens. I think we... you okay?
Yeah, I'm back. I had to blow my nose real quick. I didn't want anybody to.
I did that the other day.
Want to share that on the camera.
Sure, why not? They'd like it. I'm not shy.
Right.
Where's that Kleenex at? So yeah,
But
like I said, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. So no matter what happens, we're gonna be hosed.
I agree. And that's, I don't think, to the people that watch us or listen to us, I don't think that's any news.
No, I really don't think so.
I really think
they're
both
paying
ways we
attention.
lose. Mm-hmm.
Like for one reason or another, one side is incompetent and the other side is going to be blocked so hard that they can't get anything done. So, I mean, I don't even know. I don't even know.
You know, but let's go back to, especially around Asheville in North Carolina with Hurricane Helene.
Yep.
Something just came to me that, you've seen, like Samaritan's Purse and the Cajun Navy. They've been up there helping out, putting in the work, rescuing people.
Right.
These people need to be commended.
Yeah,
They
don't
truly
have to do that. That's not their job.
Right. And a lot of this government response has been interference with them. The videos I've watched of it, the commentary I've heard of it, the government has tried to shut these people down, and they're like, no, they're standing up. Y'all, we've touched on this several times. In the 4 years that we've been rolling, this is the Bubba effect.
Yeah,
the
government
people
won't do their jobs,
are
and
tired
people
of it.
want to stand up and do it. And then the government doesn't want that.
And then they come in and try to take over. Yep. And these people are telling the government to kick rocks.
Yeah.
Right.
They're so busy.
Frankly,
Go ahead.
They're
so
my personal
busy.
opinion.
We must have a delay, man.
I think we do. But my personal opinion is these people are doing the right thing.
Yeah.
They're stepping up. They're doing what people should do. They are, all the donations that are given to them, whether it be monetary or whatever, all the monetary donation, none of this goes to anybody's pockets. This goes straight to the victims.
Right.
Both from Samaritan's Purse and the Cajun Navy, and also Mercury One. All the funding, the money that you're giving to these charities, 100% goes to the victims of whatever catastrophe is involved.
Yeah.
Or they're involved in. Whereas you hear about the Red Cross and any kind of NGOs or whatever like that, they keep so much of a percentage back to pay their salaries and stuff.
Yeah. Yep. And meanwhile, the government is so busy, worried about how they look, that they're absolutely falling down on the job. Here's the deal. You should never depend on the same people who are in charge of the postal system, because they can run something into the ground faster than any other creature on the planet. Yeah. I don't care what country you're in. Government is slow and inefficient, and you should not depend on them. You need to depend on yourself, depend on your neighbors, depend on your community. Be part of the community.
Right.
I know we harp on community a lot, but it's really super important. It's like that meme that's going around. You never know the value of that one redneck friend until the shit hits the fan.
Right. Right. And I don't know how to really say this without sounding insensitive. That's not the case, but I don't want to sound that way.
Yeah, I get it. Just spit it out, buddy.
But we're seeing this. Yeah, we're seeing this now. We're seeing this happen now. People, the communities, are stepping up and taking control of their destinies.
They have to.
Exactly, they have to. I'm
And
not
that's what
saying
made 'em-
FEMA's not there.
Yeah, no, they're there. They're failing miserably, but they're there. But that's what part of what made America great in the first place was neighbor helping neighbor. That's what made communities great. That's why, it engenders pride in your community to know that everybody in the community is there for everybody else. I may hate Bob down the street, but by God, if Bob's house burns down, I'm going to be the first one down there with clothes and blankets and offering him, use of my shower or whatever. Because Bob ain't a bad guy. I just don't like him. So I'm going to do my damnedest to make sure he's got what he needs for his kids, if nothing else.
Right.
And I don't know anybody named Bob, so these names mean nothing.
Right. I agree with that. And that's what your community is supposed to do. And again, that's why we harp on it so much. This is a prime example of everything that we've talked about.
It is. It's
of building a community.
Perfect storm, to borrow a pun.
True. And I guess my thing is I'm trying to look through all of the noise about it.
There's so much.
Sure, I agree with some of it. Some of it I disagree with. I'm trying to look through the noise and put myself in that situation. I really thought, had I had the time at work, about taking off and going out there and seeing how it can help.
Yeah.
Because to me, that's the right thing to do.
Yeah. There's organizations you can join that do that.
Right. Right. And there's tons of them. There really are. I mean, like I named three, right off the bat, Samaritan's Purse, the Cajun Navy, and Mercury One. All stand-up charities. They do all their fundraising and stuff through the year to fund their charity.
Yeah.
So any kind of donations or whatever that come for disaster relief go straight to that. They're not lining anybody's pockets.
Yeah. That is true.
So
you got the Lions Club, the Shriners, they're all now some of those do take some money to pay their officers, but still they're out there doing more than the government is actually,
Yeah.
In a lot of ways.
Well, I've seen reports. I've seen reports of the government coming in, trying to take the donations from certain places. They're trying to take all the food that's stored and all that so they could divvy it out. And a lot of people are stepping up and saying no.
And that right there is something that we need to talk about right there, them taking the food. If you have food storage, I would not advertise it if I were the general public, because that's one of the first things that they will do in a so-called national emergency is come seize all the food supplies and redistribute it. You've paid for it. You've taken care of your family, but the government's going to go take it and redistribute it for you.
Right.
Leaving you with nothing. That's Soviet era politics right there. That's communism, and that's wrong. That's killed more people than any other thing. Well, it killed more people in the 20th century than any other one thing, or even all of them put together. I'm not sure. I have to check that, but it's pretty bad stuff.
Yeah, it is. I mean, millions starved.
Yeah. And that's how they got rid of people.
They would
just didn't give people to the people who were against them.
Right.
So.
I've heard stories of farmers, having all of this food they're producing, potatoes and whatever else, but all their fields are under guard.
Yeah.
And if they were to try to go get some of the food that they worked for to plant and raise,
they would
be shot.
Yep. You can't feed yourself. You've got to feed everybody else. You can starve to death. or we'll shoot you if you try to
Right.
eat.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, that's communism. That's socialism. That's all those isms. They're a bad thing. But let's talk about something a little more positive. How about things that people can do? I don't want to bring everybody down. But there are things you can do in situations like this. I know a lot of people lost their entire prep. So what do you do?
Right. It's tough. I mean, we've been watching this guy on YouTube. His name's Justin Rhodes, and he was affected. I highly recommend his channel, especially if you're into like homesteading and stuff like that. But he's up there in the mountains of North Carolina. And it devastated his homestead. But luckily, he only lost, I can't remember how many turkeys, because he was raising turkeys. But I don't remember how many he lost, but he lost, I think, all but one of his turkeys. And this guy's got pigs and chickens and farm, his he's got raised beds, gardening. He had a high tunnel greenhouse, which he lost the greenhouse. But his road was washed out. Almost lost like his hay barn, I think. I mean, it literally washed. I mean, his concrete looked to be like a foot thick. And it washed all the dirt underneath away. And not the whole barn. You had to go on and watch it. It was just like a certain corner because they were on a creek. And he had a gravity-fed watering system for his animals from up higher on the mountain. That got messed up. It washed out a bridge there on his property that led up the mountain to I don't remember if it's his in-laws or his parents. So they had to try to get up there and get them but he's talking about his community, how the community is stepping up and donating hay because he lost a lot of hay for his animals and stuff like that.
Right.
People are donating hay. People are coming in, bringing dirt and stuff so they can rebuild their road. People have come up to help rebuild a bridge to get across. He was able to get across once the water receded and go up and check on his in-laws or whatever. I think it was his in-laws. But the community is pulling together, and he's also going out because he's got all sorts of heavy equipment, front end loader, backhoe, all that. He's going out and helping, cut limbs and all this to try to help out his community. And that is the most important prep, I believe, especially in a situation like this where most of the stuff, if you have stored, is gone.
Yeah, it's gone.
I mean, this guy, he's been out of power for like 2 or 3, since the storm hit, he's been out of power. For his case, luckily, he's got a giant diesel generator.
Right.
And he said people are bringing up gas, because he's got all that food and stuff he's raised. I don't remember what kind of percentage he's got for food that he provides for himself, his family. He's got a big family. And I don't remember what percentage, but he hasn't lost anything because his generator runs his freezers and they're cooking with gas stoves and all this. I would highly recommend you going to check it out. And this guy's. Oh, hey, Jess.
Yeah. Hey, Jess.
So really all this guy's electric is going for his refrigerators and stuff and freezers and whatnot. And he's self-sustaining, which is an amazing position to be in, and he actually made a comment that I am living preparedness.
Absolutely.
His last video I watched, he said, I'm actually going to reach and start doing a preparedness series on my YouTube channel. So I would highly recommend going and checking him out. I may reach out to him. I know got a lot going.
Post a link. I'll check that out. I'll add him.
Yeah, for sure. Let me see what I got here.
Well, that brings up another thing. He's done pretty well by himself. He's in the mountains. You said he had a gravity-fed watering system. That's something that you can do if you're in a situation like this. Miniature hydro generators are actually not badly priced. So that's something to think about if you're in a situation like that. I'm not sure. You'd have to have a lot of them to run a freezer, but you can keep the lights on while the big generator kept everything else going. LED lighting helps keep down how much juice you've got to use. Stuff like that. So it sounds like he's got a lot of work to do, but the work he's put in ahead of time has really paid for itself. And that's what
work. And
that's what the prep is for.
Yeah.
So yeah, when he says he's living preparedness, I absolutely agree with that.
Yeah, he absolutely is. I mean, he's a homesteader. I mean, obviously, but let's see. Hey, Sylvian. Yeah, Justin Rhodes or Abundant Permaculture. I put the link in the chat.
Alrighty, I see it.
But it's watch this guy's struggles. I mean, my wife knows more about it than I do because I really haven't watched him a lot until I saw him dealing with all this hurricane aftermath and everything. Hey, here's my wife. But I mean, the videos I've watched, this guy, he's big into permaculture. And this kind of things we've touched on a lot, just kind of everything that he's doing. Now, I realize a lot of people don't have the luxury of having the property or anything like that, but you can do stuff in your own yard. Now, granted, if your yard gets washed away, you're kind of lost,
Yeah.
Everything.
That brings up something I wanted to bring up. Well, when you're finished.
Yeah, go for it.
No, go ahead and finish.
No, I was going to say, he said because he built raised beds for his gardens, that's what saved him or saved his gardening. I mean, I think he lost part of one bed, but he's composted all this stuff, and he's like, this is dirt that we grew, literally, and made to move over here, and a lot of it got washed away. They had a huge shipping container, just for storage and whatnot. It got washed down the river. I don't know. I recommend going and watching it, definitely, because it's worth watching.
All right. Well, something you said brought something to mind that I've been. I talked to you earlier about. Most people live in towns. So you don't have a big prep. You don't have room for a lot of big prep. The thing with hurricanes is you usually know they're coming. And so there are things you can do. Everybody talks bug out bags. I've got a new idea, a new twist on the bug out bag. You've got a car. Most people's cars these days have a luggage rack. And even those that don't, they make things for you. What about getting a cargo pod and having your prep set up so that you can load the cargo pod and load up your prep and get the heck out of Dodge? Like I said, the hurricane is one of those things where you generally know there's a chance you're going to have to evacuate. And for safety's sake, I really think that that's a good recommendation. If they say you should evacuate, I think you should evacuate if possible. But you can carry a lot of stuff in one of those cargo pods. You can take your bug out supplies. your several days worth of food for the family in a compact form. Try to keep some cash on hand, because
For sure.
we saw this. This is part of the deal. You got a $750 card from the government to buy stuff for your family, and there's not a card reader one in the whole state that probably works.
Right.
So have some cash. But I really think that Florida is a prime example of a place where bug out bags and bug out scenarios are going to be the more common. Where we're at, probably a bug in scenario would be the most likely. But in Florida, somebody in Florida every year gets evacuated for a hurricane. You can probably get your whole 3-day or 4-day prep loaded onto a cargo pod in just a few minutes once you get it mounted. And then you can be on your way. Fill your trunk with whatever else you need. But just be prepared to get out, and get out when you can. I'm not trying to be crass or anything, but I think if there's an evacuation order, your job is going to understand that you're evacuating. And there's no job worth the life of you and your family.
Absolutely not.
So if they say the hurricane is going to hit and you need to evacuate, my recommendation is to get the heck out of Dodge. You can buy a new house. You can't buy a new wife and kids. You can't buy your life back. So
No, you can't. I mean, these people, like in North Carolina especially, it's going to be decades.
Yeah.
I was going to touch on a lot of the conspiracies and stuff, but I'm not going to. I mean, if you pay any bit of attention,
you'll find them. They're out there. You'll see them all over Facebook.
You know what? Right. Facebook, TikTok, Twitter.
Yeah, they're all over Twitter too.
So it's questionable at best on both sides, whether the government response or their response to the criticism they're getting. It's hard to know what's real. 100%.
That's true.
I mean, sure, my knee jerk is, they're all lying. That's my knee jerk reaction to a lot of what the government says. I'm not going to lie about
what
that.
we've learned from trial and error. You can't trust them as far as you can throw my house.
Right. And there's speculation out there about weather control. I mean, sure, it's fun things to talk about, not in the context of all the damage that's been done.
Right.
But it's fun things to theorize on, when things are good. And I'm not going to go down that road tonight. But I just want to look at the real side of what's going on, the people that are affected in Florida, here, or in North Carolina. I just saw something pop up. I was looking because there's supposedly another hurricane hitting, I guess down in Cuba.
Yeah.
I just saw New Mexico got, where'd it go? I just lost it. Let me see if I can find it again.
Oh yeah, they said that this year's hurricane season is far from over. We can expect more of the same.
Right. Roswell, it's record rain in, just the headline. Record rain in Roswell, New Mexico kills at least 2.
I've seen the pictures. It's pretty raunchy.
Yeah, I'm and this is on Weather Underground. But it's a real situation. I 100% believe, and even if the government was a week late, which is piss poor in my opinion.
Yeah, that is a dreadful.
I'm happy. Yeah, they're not everywhere, regardless, and it's debatable on the $750. I've heard of people getting denied for it. I've heard of people getting it. Who knows?
We can't trust the thing you see.
You can't. And that's why I'm trying to err on the side of caution tonight and not add to that.
There's been
As
enough
much as I want to. I
misery.
ain't gonna lie.
There's been enough misery down there. We don't need to add to
Right.
it.
Right. You're absolutely right, man. All of my prayers go out to everybody affected over the last 3 weeks. They are not out of the woods yet.
No.
And I'm thankful for good charities that are doing what they've got to do.
And you've got to worry about disease from lack of sanitation, and there's so much stuff. And they're not a sponsor, but I do recommend checking out Jace Case or one of the other medical supply companies and getting a emergency supply of medications for something like this. It is a little costly.
It is.
But in a situation like this, I mean, they've got a good lifespan. So in a situation like this, you can grab it and go. And somebody gets right there.
Yeah.
That man right there.
We've got some. And yes, it was pricey. I'm not going to lie.
That right there can save your life of your family.
But the good thing is they take your HSA.
Yeah. So if you got an HSA at work.
So if you, right.
I think I'm going to do that this year, actually.
I'll take it. Yeah, so I would definitely look into it, look into the different companies. Jace, when I did mine, Jace was the only one that I knew of. There's a couple of other ones out. I don't remember the name of them.
There's 2 or 3 of them. I don't have them right on hand.
But definitely look into it. And yes, you are going to pay a premium. No, I'm not going to deny that. I think Scotty, I can't remember Scotty's last name, but he's a listener. He messaged me after I showed off the Jace case, right after I got it. And he said, go talk to your doctor. Maybe Scotty, if you're listening to this, shoot me another message if you would, please. And I can relay it back to the show on how people can get the meds they need. But I wanted to support a channel because there's several creators that have Jace as a sponsor, so I wanted to support them in that aspect. Plus, it benefits us.
Absolutely,
it will benefit you. You have all your meds on hand. You can go in there. You can get. Let me see what let me just pull it up. That way I can show everybody.
Yeah, that's a good deal. And that's one of the things. I went ahead and posted the link to ready.gov. As much as I don't trust the government, there is good information on that site. One of the things they talk about on there and FEMA is having prescription medications that you are going to need if something like this happens or you have to evacuate. So there's companies that do this for you. You can do it on your own if you're willing to do the footwork with your doctor. But like Jace does, they'll help get you the prescriptions. They'll take care of it. They'll track all that stuff down and get you going. So you don't have to do all the legwork, which is probably what makes it a little pricey. Honestly.
Right. I mean, I'm going to share this here. And how it works. When you go to buy it, you actually, through email, if I remember right, I didn't speak to anybody personally, but through email, they ask you what you're doing this for or whatever. But they've got like different kits, like the Homesteader. It's $583.95, but it's got stuff for, it's got amoxicillin, azithromycin, stuff for urinary tract infection, bioterrorism infections, Giardia.
Now that right there, that could be in anybody's water supply that does not have treated water. And let me tell you that it is miserable. Don't ask me how I know. We don't want to have that conversation.
A planner. I mean, they've got They've got different packages
Yeah.
that you can look into. Yeah, and like I said, you're going to pay a premium. I'm not going to deny that, but it's worth looking into. And look
And they
into
make
it,
it
see if it's right
convenient.
for you and yours. They do.
So,
now, granted, if everything is washed away, I mean, it's not going to do any good. In all honesty, and that's the tough part. I was racking my brain on how do you prepare for that. And I think Mark has a great idea with your cargo.
yeah, I've
box,
got
whatever
another
you
one to
call
go
it.
with that too.
Okay.
Out of town storage facility.
Right.
You can buy one of those tiny little
that's-
closets for a minuscule amount of money a year and can keep quite a bit of stuff in one. Blankets, tents, whatever. Yes, that is inconvenient from where you live, probably. But if it is out of the general storm track, that could be something to get your family back on your feet until you can get back to your home.
Right. And I don't really think it would have to be all that far, because, here I am, a Kansas boy.
Yeah.
I've been through a couple of hurricanes. But, I actually, Milton, when it was coming in, I reached out to a friend of mine that lives down in Florida that was kind of in the path. And he said, I'm going to hang out. I'm not going anywhere, because he lives on the east side of Florida. And it was supposed to be down to Hurricane 1 or Category 1. And it may be something even kind of local, a storage unit kind of local or whatever, or maybe if it's on higher ground or something like that where you're not going to get flooded. Things like that.
One up
where
in some
on the
mountain
coast, you have
town or
to-
something.
Right. And really, even that Justin Rhodes was talking about, it hadn't done that since what was it, 17? Hasn't rained like that up there since 1783 or 81 or something like that. I mean, a crazy amount of time. It's like once a millennia storm or once every couple 100-year storm. So it's not on your radar when you think preparedness, especially in an area like Asheville, North Carolina, or in the mountains of North Carolina. It's not on your radar.
Mm-mm.
You don't think about it. It's like, living here where we live. We're not going to think about a hurricane.
No.
I mean,
We
sure,
got
we get,
we got tornadoes to worry
Texas,
about,
we'll
but
get bang. Right. I mean, sure. I mean, if we get a hurricane that comes up through Texas, we might get some of the rain off of it.
yeah,
I mean,
we
that's
could get some
happened.
flooding. We've had bad flooding around here several times in my lifetime.
Right. But in 2007, we got so much rain that the rivers flooded. They had to let the water out up north because we got so much rain. Flooded half of Coffeyville.
Yeah, it's still not recovered.
And that was what that's what they call a 100-year storm.
Yeah, they won't let anybody build down there now.
Right.
So,
so a lot of that stuff isn't on your radar, but if it is, especially Florida or along the coast, on the East Coast or on the Gulf Coast or something like that, that's a way of life down there. In the time I was there, I was in South Carolina for 5 years, and I was in Florida for almost a year, and I was affected by 2 different hurricanes. I mean, they weren't terrible hurricanes. I mean, one we had to evacuate, and that's something else to think about. If one's coming and they're talking about it getting the potential of it getting stupid high, get out before they give you the mandatory get out. Because as well as I do that traffic is going to be snarled up. I seen one thing with Milton coming that it took him 3 hours to go 35 miles.
yeah, that's
And
ridiculous.
I saw that. I saw a person on, I think it was TikTok, that said, I'm not going anywhere. I don't want to get caught out on the highway when this thing hits. I'm not leaving. And I can't say I blame them, really. But if you can, get out before they give the mandatory evacuation. To me, it's not worth risking.
No, your life and the life of your families are not worth it.
No. Your property can be rebuilt.
I don't want to be crass, but it's true.
Right. And here we say this, living in Tornado Alley. I mean,
I'm not afraid to go to a hidey hole, though, which is actually my next big investment, probably. So
you kind of have to. We have to think about that in real terms. Was it this past spring? I mean, you guys had a lot of near misses.
Yeah,
with hailstorms and stuff down
I'm
there. I'm
still waiting on a contractor to be available to work on my house.
And
I've got roof damage and siding damage, and
lots of hail damage. I know.
Yeah.
I know. Mark, I think, had some cracked windows. I know Pam had some damaged windows and siding and stuff.
Yeah.
I think Mark's froze or I'm froze, one of the two. But
you were froze, but I seem to. You're back now.
All right, you back? Okay, you're back. I think
Might be
either I cut out or you cut out.
It's the internet. We're talking about something important. It's trying to shut us down.
Right, that's it. The government's back to the same old thing.
Damn it.
But yeah, I mean, you really have to look at the weather and determine what you have to prepare for. Even if it's not on your radar, or if there's a potential. Do what, Mark?
I don't know what's going on.
He's moving real slow in the camera.
Jessica says everything's all right on her side, so I don't know what's going on. I was getting ready to switch to
yeah, I don't know if that's me or you.
Hotspot.
But do what?
Nothing. I think the interweb is not webbing.
Right. Jess said it's all fine on this side. So, no, you really need to take stock in potential weather in your area. And not necessarily just weather, but just natural occurrences, whether it be earthquakes, high winds, a high wind warning. We're always under high wind warning. Granted,
all the time.
It's not going to be that damaging, but there's a potential there. Okay, what happens during a high wind situation? Well, you may lose a power line or something like that. So it may not hurt to have some backup power on hand. Earthquake. I don't know how to prepare for that. I really don't. I think we're looking at, I guess, depending on the severity. We do get them here every now and again, but they're minimal.
Yeah, I think the biggest worry we've got is knocking down the local stadium.
Right. But, it's always a joke here when we feel an earthquake, because like I said, they're minimal. There may be a 2 or 3. And if you're moving, you hardly ever feel them.
Yeah.
But as for a large earthquake, sure, you need to have fresh water. Your typical preparedness items, water, food, a way to keep warm, especially on your location,
batteries, blankets.
But blizzards, yeah.
Oh yeah, that is a big one over here. That's more likely than a hurricane.
Yeah, Enzo's right. He said, for our area, the biggest immediate concern after an earthquake would be gas lines. You're right.
Yeah,
You
because
know, a
they're
way to heat
fragile.
your home or cook. But yeah, blizzards, it's something to think about. How are you going to heat your home if you're not on gas? You know, because it's been, Lord, my older sons were little, probably 2006 ish, 2007 ish. I mean, we were out of power for a few days.
Yeah. I remember
Luckily,
when I was a kid,
I mean, we didn't have to.
yeah. So yeah, I've been without power for 2 or 3 days. It's no fun, especially like I said, after a blizzard, you can't get down the road, you can't go nowhere. Phone lines may or may not
Right.
work. We had party lines, so we could talk to the neighbor for sure.
But yeah, luckily we didn't have to worry about our freezer and stuff like that because it was cold enough outside. We could set our meat and stuff outside. You know, but we had a gas heater, so we weren't without heat. We just had to deal with the inconvenience of not having lights. You know, I mean, flashlights, candles, things like that. We had
Wood
and
stove
it's
and
always a
hurricane
plus
lanterns.
to have that stuff on hand. Right,
We had wood
right. You
stove
know,
and wall mounted hurricane lanterns, so they were great.
yeah, and it comes in handy. You know, you don't realize it. You know, we had the old kerosene lamps and stuff like that. Um, Definitely worth having on hand. At least like a kerosene camping lamp or something like that with
Yeah.
the extra filaments to have. Make sure you have them on hand. You know, think about it. This is something because we're kind of getting into it. We're building a new YouTube channel. Me and the wife and the kids are um, about kind of getting outdoors and hikes and camping and stuff like that. But this has kind of got me also thinking, okay, you know, what do I need on this many on this kind of trip, or what do I need if I want to do this? What do I need to put together? What kind of shelter do I need? What kind of food do I need? What kind, you know, how much? And then I'm also thinking about weight. You know, how much weight am I going to have to carry in? Because we're talking about hiking into to a location and camping. Um, you know, so I'm like, okay, how much weight am I going to have to carry this far? You know, and if I have one of the kids with me, what else am I going to have to bring? And I'm sitting there thinking, I was like, you know, that's no different than the mindset that you need, especially if you're going to build a bug out bag or
Right.
something like that. How much weight can you carry if you're on foot? What happens, you know, if you're in gridlock or something on a freeway, you're trying to evacuate, but you're going to have to leave your vehicle.
Right.
Or, you know, in the case of an EMP, I mean, that's something that we've seen, the Northern Lights down here. The last few months, we've seen them a few times.
Yeah, and I got some great pictures, by the way.
I did too.
But
I did
we
too.
could see them with our naked eye, and that's the first time I can remember in my
Right.
lifetime seeing the Northern Lights
Yeah.
with the naked eye. And
Yeah, let me see if I can.
if they get bright enough to make it to the equator, we're probably looking at mass power outages across the country.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
we just now hit the solar maximum. So we've got at least a few weeks where extremely high surges are likely. So, yeah, have some radios on hand. Weather radio, hand crank powered stuff. Yeah. It was
Yeah.
gorgeous, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was beautiful. Um, this right here, the streaks, you could physically see with your eyes.
Yeah.
And this one right here, especially as deep red as that is, you could definitely see that. You know, and this is out in our road, just on the other side of the house. But yeah, I mean, that's something that you should really consider. Is okay, you know, here we go. You know, and Enzo, he said our magnetic field is weakening, getting ready for a polar flip, and I've seen talks of that.
Yeah.
So
That
it's
usually takes
worth.
a while, but I mean, I think he's right. I think it is working on it. It may happen in our lifetimes, it may not, but it is moving that way.
Right. Enzo said those red colors tell you a lot more than normal is going or getting through the magnetic field.
Absolutely. Solar radiation.
Yeah, I mean, so I mean, there's things to think about. Absolutely, it is. I told my daughter because she went out with us. I was like, I mean, I was 47 the first time I got to see him.
Yeah.
She's 7. So it's just a lot of things have come to mind lately for me. Kind of
There's been a
looking
lot of
through
really
a different
concerning things,
lens,
yeah.
so to speak. Yeah, there is. There's a lot going on. I mean, we're looking down the barrel in what, less than 2 weeks? 2 weeks? 2 weeks from tomorrow? Yeah, 2 weeks from tomorrow. I mean, we could wake up in a whole different world. Just civil unrest, because I really believe it doesn't matter, I think, which way the election goes. I bet we're going to see civil unrest.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we will. And it's things we've talked about a million times, but I think it's all fairly likely.
Yeah.
And it's almost 100% chance that you will either be involved in or adjacent to one of these situations.
Yeah.
A power outage, a blizzard, a hurricane, a tornado. It may not affect you directly, but it will affect your community. And the likelihood of it affecting you personally, like a blizzard here, if we have one, everybody's affected. You won't be able to travel.
Right.
You won't be able to get to the hospital if something's wrong. Doctor's offices will be shut down. You got to watch.
Well, something that we kind of try to keep in perspective here. A couple of years ago, I mean, it didn't snow a lot, but where my house is situated, it drifted up so bad that we couldn't get out.
Oh, yeah.
We could see a quarter mile either way. We could see gravel on the road, but it was so deep and drifted in front of our house, we couldn't get out.
Yeah, I'm had that happen a lot when I was a kid.
Right. My wife tried to go to work, and she got stuck. Tried to get her out with my truck. My truck got stuck, and so we just kind of pulled back, and we had to wait. Wait for them to come with the road grader and knock the snow off. It was just kind of a pain in the butt, but that's part of it. That's part of us living here. You don't know what it's going to do.
I think the longest
we hardly got any snow at all last year.
Longest I was ever snowed in was for 6 days. I thought my dad was going to kill me. I'm not going to lie. I was fairly, and still am, I was fairly annoying as a child, so it's a miracle I made it to this age.
Yeah, Enzo said that we'll probably have a magnetic flip in a dozen years or so. He said that's just the magnetic poles, not the globe itself. Yeah, that'd be catastrophic from my understanding.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. But the poles flip all the time. You can look at the historical record through the magnetic lines in the rocks and see that it's done it hundreds of times. So it's nothing new under the sun. It'll make navigation fun as hell for a while.
Yeah.
So
it'll probably screw the migrating birds up.
Absolutely. So there'll be some mass die-offs because of it, I'm sure. But that's Mother Nature, doing Mother Nature things. So, but yeah, wherever you are, whatever things happen in your area, you are likely, almost 100% likely, to either be involved or adjacent to a major event. And so the thing is if you're prepped and it doesn't happen to you, I'll bet you know somebody who could use the help.
Right.
And wouldn't that be something to be able to and go help your brother, your friend, your cousin, because you prepared? And you can always rebuild your prep. But if it saves family, help your friends, if you're not directly involved, that's what it's all about. That's the community.
Yep. And that is the most important part, in my opinion. Sure, it's great to have the preps. It's great to have that security there, that insurance, so to speak. But if you're not helping somebody out, what good does that do you? Sure, you'll be able to stay alive a little bit longer.
Right.
And I'm not saying give everybody everything you have. I mean, I'm just saying help out where you can.
Yeah. Well, and like I said, there's a good chance, say if I get wiped out, I know people who will help me out. But if I'm fine,
Right.
and y'all get wiped out, I'm going to be coming with a trunk load of stuff.
Right.
That's what it's about. Helping your neighbors, helping your friends, helping your family.
Yep. And if you want an example, look at what's going on in North Carolina.
Yep. Absolutely.
People are stepping up.
No, I got a year's supply of green beans canned up in the cellar. Let me go out there and help some of my friends out here.
Right.
Whatever. I got the gas for the tractor up there. Come on down to the house. Let me put some gas in your car so you can get back and forth to work or whatever. Right. People helping people out. That's, if I've got it, and you need it, and I don't, then come get it.
Yep. And that's the beauty of it is most of the people will never ask for anything in return.
Nope.
Because I know I wouldn't.
It's not important. What's important is the lives of your friends, the lives of your neighbors, the lives of your family.
And I truly believe that is human nature. Because, as much as I don't like being social, I'm not really social. I'm willing to help people. And because that's what it's about. Again, and I guess that's the point I'm trying to drive home, is what's the point of living if you're not willing to help somebody?
Right. Well, as much as we talk about how human nature is so nasty and ugly, it can be just as good and beautiful. So
absolutely,
try to be the good and beautiful in somebody's life.
Right.
I mean, I'm never going to be pretty, but
and that's just it, Mark, is we know there's two sides. But I think that human nature, and we're seeing it play out now, like I said, is people are stepping up and helping people. That's what it means to be human, in my opinion. That's what it means to be an American. You're seeing that spirit come back alive.
Absolutely. You're going to make me cry, man.
And what? And something that has really hit me kind of profoundly is it doesn't matter which way the election goes. People are still going to be people.
Exactly. Whether you agree with them or not.
Yep. But man, I don't really have a lot more unless I can go on an anti-government rant, but I don't think I need
probably
to
not
tonight.
going to be productive, is it? Be knocking on our doors at midnight. You won't get any sleep after the questioning.
Right.
Do go to ready.gov. Do go to the FEMA website and look up we've got it pinned at the top of our Facebook group. Do go look at the recommended 3-day supply of everything. It's good information despite the source. They paid a lot of money probably to produce those lists. But also think about what could happen here. Wherever you live, think about what could happen, what you could do. Like I said, even if it doesn't affect you directly, something is going to happen that affects you at least adjacently, and be there for somebody else. There's, I don't know what you believe, but most people believe that good comes back around, and I surely do.
Yep.
What you put out in life comes back to you. If you put out good things come back to you. If you put out bad things come back to you. Call it karma, call it the golden rule, call it whatever you want. That's just the way I've found life works. Sometimes it doesn't, but for the most part, you get what you give.
Right. And I agree with that.
And we're seeing it in the Carolinas. So I'm going to wrap up with this. It actually restores some of my faith in humanity.
Amen. Amen.
It really does. And
for sure.
While it's a bad situation, I'm going to tell you my faith in humanity was getting to be an all-time low. So,
yep, it was pretty low.
Just put that out there for everybody. And with that, I think I'm done, sir.
All right, man. Well, everybody, I appreciate you hanging out in the chat. I'm glad to be back, getting in here and talking about these things. And I hope you all got something from tonight. I really do. It's kind of more of a somber show, for sure.
Yeah.
But we're just trying to look at what's happening. And kind of trying to understand what to look at. I guess, if that makes sense. Don't just think about, like here, sure, we got tornadoes. You can't live preparedness by looking at that one aspect. Look at things that you don't expect. And I think that's the biggest lesson I've gotten from these hurricanes.
Yeah.
Especially, Helene. People weren't expecting that.
No. They surely weren't.
And my thoughts and my prayers go out with everybody that was affected. And I pray that the death toll is lower once the total number comes out. There's a lot of, I'm not going to say misinformation or disinformation, but there's a lot of wrong information, I believe, that we're seeing.
Because I really don't think anybody knows for sure, really, honestly.
I don't think so. There's some harrowing stories I know I've seen, people losing their lives and things like that. But no, everybody, I just ask that you try to think outside the box when you approach this subject in preparedness. Think of things that you may have a slight chance to be affected by. So try to think outside the box, I guess is what I'm trying to say. We'll see you back here in a couple weeks. Don't forget next week. I think we might need to try that, Enzo. Maybe I can break out my inner Alex Jones. I don't know.
And that will be the final episode of What If Tomorrow. We'll go out with a bang.
But but no, everybody, thank you for hanging out in the chat. It's good to be back. Next week, is Brian coming on next week?
I need to verify, but that is the plan the last I knew. I'm sorry, last week I spent all day in the ER with what turned out to be a very large kidney stone and was unable to do the show. So we postponed our interview with Brian Terrell from Red Dirt Cryptids on the Fringe. And I hope to have him back next week. If not, we'll have him in soon. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, me too. He's a good guy.
He is
definitely a good guy. With that being said, everybody, thanks for hanging out in the chat. It's always fun to talk back and forth with you guys. And if you've never been in the chat, come join us for a live show. It seems like mainly the reach now is on YouTube, which is great. So come over to YouTube, join us. What If Tomorrow Media on YouTube. Like and subscribe to that channel. Come join us and look for The Night Acres as my wife's homesteading channel. And the soon coming, I'm probably going to get the first video out maybe next week, is The Night Outdoors. That's where we're talking hunting, fishing, camping, anything outdoors is game. We're going to kind of look around the area, southeastern Kansas, northeastern Oklahoma, Arkansas, Missouri. We're going to do day trips, stuff like that, and check that out. So I'll post it up to our What If Tomorrow Media channel. Come over there and check it out over there. We got the kids first out, or they should have already been up. I had 3 full videos filmed, and my card reader got corrupted and and I lost every bit of it. So
technology's great until it don't work.
Start over. Right. So I had to start over, and we finished up the other video the other night. So that's going to go up. And so I'm hoping next week sometime to have the first video out. But yeah, we appreciate your support in that. We appreciate your support in all we do, guys. We truly do. With that being said, we will catch you next episode.
Good night, everybody.